Welcome, grade 9. In this presentation, we're going to look at the difference between simple interest and compound interest. We're also going to look at hire purchase. So let's first understand the difference. So I like to make it quite dramatic with huge amounts. So let's say you have money. You have 100,000 Rand. You saved for it, whatever you did, but you've got 100,000 Rand. And let's say this is going to be Mr. B. This is going to go to bank A, right? So this would be one bank, and this is going to be Mr. D, whoever it is. And he's also going to invest 100,000 Rand. But this bank is going to work with simple interest. This bank with simple interest. And this bank is going to work with compound interest. You'll see the difference at the end. Right. Now, the banks normally offer a certain amount of interest. So very often, if you want to take out a loan, you will go to one bank, and the bank might say, okay, we're going to offer you 10% on your home loan. Another bank may offer you 9%. And then you can tell the first bank that, well, I can get 9% at the other bank. And maybe the first bank then will offer you a lower interest rate. So let's first now start off with this one. So I'm going to start off with 10% interest, right? So we're going to look at the bank is offering 10%. How do you work out 10%? You can just say 10 over 100 if you're in grade 9, 10%, and then you work it out of 100,000. Yes, it's very easy to actually just, shift the comma one place to the left, and then it's going to give you 10,000. Or get used to it by just doing it on the calculator. 10%, you can also say it's 10 divided by 100, like this. If you divide by 100, it means you shift the comma 2 places to the left. So from there, it's going to be 1, 2. You can also just say 0.1 times 100,000. Right. So now we know it's going to be 10,000. So we're going to add 10,000. The interest rate is going to be 10%. And at the end of the first year, it's going to be 110,000 Rand. End of the first year. So with a compound interest, we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to look at 10%. We're going to add 10,000. So then both of you, Mr. B and Mr. D, will have 110,000 Rand in the bank at the end of the first year. Now, there's a slight difference now with how we're going to work it out going forward. So going forward with simple interest, at the end of the second year, it's going to be 10% again, but the 10% is going to stay the same. They work it out, it's 10% on the original amount, worked out on the original amount. So this 10% is always going to be worked out on the 100,000 Rand. So therefore, the interest will never, ever become more than 10,000 Rand. So this is now going to be 120,000 Rand at the end of the second year. While with compound interest, the 10% is going to be calculated on the latest balance. So as your balance is going to grow, the interest that you're going to earn is also going to grow. So this is going to be 10% based on the latest balance. So it's 10% on 110,000 Rand. And that's just going to be then 11,000. So already it's 1,000 Rand more. So at the end of the second year, there's already a difference of 1,000 Rand between simple and compound. So let's just rephrase this again. Simple interest. The interest is always worked out on the original amount. While with compound interest, the interest is worked out on the latest balance. So the interest is going to grow. So which bank do you prefer? Of course, you prefer compound interest. Now, before I tell you more about the difference, let's work out using the formulas and see what the difference is going to be after 40 years. So we're going to work with an N of 40. 40 years. The original amount, the P, is going to be 100,000 for both of them. And we're going to make the interest 10%. So it's 0.10, or you can just work with 10 over 100. And for both of them, it's going to apply. But with simple and compound interest, the formulas differ. So for this one, it's going to be 100,000. The interest, you can either write it as 10 over 100 or try and get used to it by working with 0.10. And we're going to multiply, it's the interest multiplied by N. We're going to multiply by 40. Please pop it into your calculator. You must not just sit back and watch me doing it. It's very important that you practice. So if you go and work it out, pause the recording while you work it out. So for this one, you should get 500,000 Rand. For this one, we're also going to look at 100,000 Rand. Then the interest is going to be 10%. So it will be 10 over 100. But it's going to be to the power of 40. And this is a dramatic difference. 4, 5, 2, 5. I'm just writing down the numbers. 9, 2, 5. And you always round off to 2 decimals because we are working with money. So because it's exponential growth, you see this 40 is an exponent. You might hear it on the news, if you listen to news, where they would say it's going to be an exponential growth. Or if you listen to financial stuff, or if dad or mom listens to, the financial programs. So look at the difference. This one is 500,000. It's not even 1 million. Well, this is going to be 4. It's like 4.5 million Rand, just because of the fact that it's compound interest. Now, I know what you are worrying about. You want to ask me, how would you know whether your bank is making use of simple interest or whether your bank is making use of compound interest? So this is another story. All banks use compound interest. They don't make use of simple interest. So you're quite safe. So all banks use compound interest. We only make use of simple interest when you are going to work with hire purchase. So what is hire purchase? That means if you're going to pay off, not your house, but if you're going to pay off a TV or you're going to pay off a cell phone, then the shops are not allowed to charge too much interest. If you want to go, and I don't know what the law says now, how much they are allowed to, but they can get into trouble. And there was a big furniture company years ago who did make sort of headlines because they asked too much interest. So they must, ask a certain amount and not go beyond that. But they work with simple interest. So it means the interest will stay the same. It's not going to get more and more and more. Now, all banks make use of compound interest. But how does the banks make money? So if you invest money, meaning you have money and you're going to take it to the bank, so you invest money, then you know what the banks do? They pay you a very low interest rate. If it's a savings account, it might be 3% interest that they pay you, even 4% maybe. If you invest the money in a money market, it could even go up to 6%, but that means that you can't withdraw the money. It will be in the bank for about 5 or 6 years. But with a savings account, you're not really going to grow rich because the interest rate is very low. So rather try and buy property and rent out your property if you want to make money. But I'm still busy with figuring out how do the banks make money. So if you invest your money and you decide to just keep it in the bank, which is not very wise, they will pay you a low interest rate. But if you borrow money from the bank, if you want to buy a house, you have to borrow because no one has 700,000 or 1.2 million to buy a house. Then you must borrow money. Do you know what the banks do? They charge a very high interest rate. Like normally it's around 10%, the interest rate. So that's how they make their money. Now let's look at a few sums based on simple interest. This is the formula. Some teachers make use of the formula on the left side. It doesn't really matter which one you make use of. Or some make use of this one. I prefer this one because it's for me faster. The P is the principal amount. So that's the amount that you are going to invest or the amount that you are going to pay off, whatever the sum says. A is the final amount. I always remember A with thinking it's like your answer. So that's the final amount. I is the interest rate that they are going to ask you, and N will be the number of years. Let's look at the first one. I think we want another color pen. I don't think we want to work with red all the time. Okay. Invest 1,000 Rand at simple interest. Now, if they don't say anything, it will always be compound. If they don't specify and they say it is simple interest, then it means it will always be compound interest. So she's going to invest money at a simple interest rate. So if I see that, I write down my formula. Or if you want to work with the other formula, it means you just multiply in the P. You see, it's a little bit of double work, so I don't like that formula where you just distribute the P in and then it's P plus P times I times N. I'll just do it once, but I always just work with the formula on the left side. Now you must figure out what is your P and what is your I and what is your N. She's going to invest 1,000 Rand. So that means the P is going to be 1,000 Rand. That's the principal amount that she's going to invest. The interest is going to be 7%. PA means per annum. So that just means it's per year. You can either write it as 7 over 100, or you can pop it into the calculator and that will give you 0,07. Because there's 2 zeros, there must be 2 places after the comma. For 3 years, that means your N is 3. How much money will be in her account by the end of the period? Let's work it out. It's going to be 1,000 Rand. The interest rate is 7 over 100. And we're going to multiply it by 3. Right, so let's work it out. Okay, so on the calculator, it's 1,000. Open up the bracket, then it's 1 plus. And with this one, you must make use of the fraction symbol. So please do it with me. I'm also doing it now. 7 over 100. Then you take the cursor up, times 3, close the bracket. So how much money will be in her account? There will be 1,210 Rand after 3 years. So that means her money earned an interest of 210 Rand. Just to show you how to do this one, you will say 1,000 because that's the investment amount. Then you have to say 1,000 multiplied by 7 over 100 and multiply by 3. So you pop this all into the calculator and do make sure that you get 1,210 Rand. To play it safe, if you want to, you can even put brackets around that. So just check your own calculator, make sure that you get, the right answer. For this one, it asks us how long. So if they say how long, it means it's your N. How many years or how many months, how long will it take for 10,000 Rand? So this 10,000 Rand is going to be the initial amount. For this amount to grow to a final amount of 15,400. If it is invested at 9% per annum, that's per year, simple interest. Sorry, apologies. You just had a coughing attack there. Right, so we write down the formula for simple interest. And if they don't specify simple, then you know it's compound. And if you see the word hire purchase, then you know hire purchase is always simple. Okay, let's write down the formula. You can write down your other formula if your teacher makes use of that. How long? You see, so we don't know what is N. So the N is the unknown. Will it take for 10,000? So also in grade 9, write down your P amount. Write down the A amount if you do have it, because it's going to grow to a final amount of 15,400. And what else do we have? We have the interest. Interest is 9 over 100. Or you can figure it out on the calculator. It's 0,09, which is slightly faster because otherwise you must type in a fraction every time. That's 9 over 100 multiplied by N, because we have no idea how long it's going to take us. Now, all of this is now a question of understanding your equations. Make sure that you type in the correct one divided by the correct one. So I'm going to type in fraction. Please do it with me. 15,400 and at the bottom 10,000. Now, if I divide with the 10,000, this bracket is going to remain, but I'm going to just throw away the bracket. 1 plus 9 over 100 times n will remain. So this answer, if I pop it into the calculator, it's going to give me 77 over 50. Now the plus 1 here, I'm just going to keep it this amount on my calculator, and I'm going to say minus 1. Because we must figure out n. So just type in -1. That gives me now 27 over 50. It's equal to 9 over 100 times n. Okay, we need to get n alone. So what must we do? We must literally divide with 9 over 100. We're going to do it on the calculator. So on the calculator, you just type in your fraction. You still have it there on your calculator. Then you type divide and you type in fraction 9 over 100. Okay? So it's divide, fraction symbol, 9 and 100. And you go equal. That's going to give me 6. So that means it's going to take 6 years for this investment to grow up to an amount of 15,400. Right, next one. I like these type of questions because it's very popular in grade 9. So if I say something is very popular, please write it down somewhere in your file where you have all your maths work. How long? So let's first read and analyze the question. How long? So it means n. How long will it take for a certain amount of money? Oh dear, they're not telling us what is the amount of money. So I'm going to make it X because I don't know how much it is. It's X amount of money. It's going to be invested at 12.5%. So that is my interest. Simple interest, and it's going to double its value. So if this is 1x, this is going to become 2x, okay? It could be 100 Rand, and we want to know how long is it going to take to become 2 times 100, namely 200 Rand. So let's first see. How long? I don't know what is my n. The p is a certain amount. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to make it x. We're going to invest it at 12.5 over 100. Remember, percentage is always over 100. You can either keep it in like that, or you can type it in as 0.125 because you shift the comma 2 places to the left. It's going to double its value. So it means the final amount is going to double up. So that will be 2x. Let's see, here's your simple interest. How long will it take for a certain amount? So we're making the px, and this x amount is going to double up. Then it's going to be 12.5%, which I'm going to write as 0.125. And how long? I don't know. So that's n. So look at this, how we're actually going to work this out. You need to get rid of the x. So we're going to divide with x. And what will remain if you throw away the brackets? 1 plus 0.125 125 times n will remain. And this is the trick. The x and the x falls away. So then you sit with 2. The plus 1, you can just say minus 1. And on the right side, you sit with 0,125 n. That remains. 2 minus 1 is 1. Now, in order to get the n, we're going to divide both sides with 0,125. Right, so I'm going to type in fraction, 1 at the top and 0,125 at the bottom. That gives me 8. So it's going to take 8 years to double an investment. If you work with simple interest, and so it's just going to take 8 years to double up. Right, now we're starting to look at some story sums. So this is the second last one for this session. PlayStation 3 with 4,500. So the biggest thing with financial is to actually read the question and to understand what are they asking. So try and work with little pictures in your head. There's a PlayStation, right? So there's my PlayStation, and this is worth 4,500 Rand. So try and figure out the whole story. It's bought from a department store. So you're going to go to the shop and you want to buy this. A deposit of 15% is paid in cash, and the remainder of the amount is borrowed on a hire purchase agreement. So hire purchase means simple interest, and it's going to be repaid in 4 years. The interest on the loan is charged at 18% per annum. PA means per year. Determine the deposit, right? So this is the cash amount. So if you do have the cash, you can go and buy it. But now that you don't have the cash, you have to pay a deposit. So the deposit is 15%. So we're going to say 15 divided by 100 of 4,500 Rand. Pop it into the calculator and you will get 675. So this is the deposit amount. Calculate the total amount that is paid for this station. So I'm not going to take into consideration the 675. No. Okay, it is going to be higher purchase. So let's just start off with the formula. So what we need to work out is the balance, meaning the PlayStation that you're going to buy is 4,500, but you went to the shop owner and you paid a deposit. So we're going to minus the deposit. Because the guys aren't stupid. If you want to buy something, they're going to have a hold on you. So you have to pay them something. So you're going to pay them 675, and they've got all your details. They would know where you stay, all of that. So let's see, what must you pay off? So we work out the balance. And if you say that minus 675, you will get 3,825. And this is the balance. So this is going to be the P amount that you need to pay off, 3,825. Let's first read this again to figure out what is the interest. Please don't get confused. I always find my pupils get confused with the deposits percentage, which is 15%, and the actual percentage that you have to pay when you pay it off. So it's easy to get confused, if you are stressed and you read it quickly. So the interest is 18 over 100, or you can write it as 0.18. So that's your interest. I'll just keep it for now as 18 over 100. And you're going to repay it in 4 years. So that is your N. So the N is 4 years. And we need to figure out the final answer, because they said the total amount. So all you do now, on your calculator, you type in this amount, open bracket, 1 plus, work with a fraction symbol, times 4. Or as I said here, what I normally do, I just type in 0.18 times 4. It's faster than working with fraction. Do make sure that you get 6,579 Rand. So do you see, what must we do in real life? In real life, if you can save money so that you can pay cash for something. So if you had the money and you saved it, you would have paid 4,500 Rand. But because you didn't save up money, you now have to pay 6,500. You see, so it's quite a lot of extra money. It's like 2,000 extra. Okay, we're going to look at the last question. Sweat 2 takes out a hire purchase loan. So here they tell us immediately it's going to be a hire purchase loan to purchase a plasma screen TV. So it's hire purchase, so now you know it's simple interest. The TV is worth 10,000 Rand. So again, I like to draw pictures. Let's say it's an old TV, those box TVs. So this TV is worth 10,000 Rand. Just to give yourself a picture. And he is expected to pay a deposit of 15% in cash. Again, you can't just take it home. You have to pay the shop owner something. So he's going to pay 15% in cash. Let's first look at the first question. Calculate the amount that Sweat 2 will pay as deposit. Well, it's going to be 15% of my TV, which is going to cost me 10,000 Rand. So you pop that into the calculator, and that's going to give you 1,500 Rand. So calculate the amount. So this is the amount, 1,500. Then, what amount will Sweat 2, I know I'm not pronouncing it correctly, will Sweat 2 pay in insurance costs? Oh dear, insurance, let's see. He takes out a loan for the remaining amount. Okay, that has nothing to do with my insurance now, but it is actually a little bit. His insurance is going to be 2.5% per year, per annum, on this amount. So he's going to pay 2.5% per year on the remaining amount. So what is remaining amount? So now we're first going to look at the remaining amount. The remaining amount, and the remaining amount is going to be the cash price, the 10,000, right? Minus the 1,500. And that is going to give you 8,500. So now on this remaining amount, this guy still has to pay insurance. Why? Because what if someone steals his television? Then the shop owner has nothing, and the shop owner still needs to get the rest of the money. So we're going to work out what amount will this guy have to pay per year in insurance per year? So let's see. So we're going to work out, he's going to pay 2.5%. So it's 2.5 over 100 of 8,500 Rand. Because he's paying, his insurance going to cost that on this amount, meaning the remaining amount. So 2.5% on that amount, if you work it out, you can also work it out as 0, if you take it 2 places to the left, 0.25 times 8,500. And if you work this out, you might get a fraction like 425 over 2. Then you SD it, and that will give you the decimal answer. So this guy is going to pay so much insurance per year. Right, this is going to be per year. So if this is going to be per year, what is the insurance that he's going to pay per month? Well, if this is per year, let's see. This is all you need to know, but I'm looking at the next question. Where they're going to say, calculate the monthly installment that this guy will have to pay. So if he pays this per year, the insurance, I'm quickly going to work out what is it per month. Okay, so that's the insurance. So if it's 212 Rand 50 for 1 year, so if I divide it by 12, 212.50 divided by 12. Oh dear, my calculator wasn't on. 212.50 divided by 12. That gives me 17 Rand, 70833. Remember, we are working with money, so you round off to 2 decimals. So the 8 will influence the 0 to become a 1. So it will be 0.71. This will be per month. Sweetu pays the loan back over 5 years. Okay, so let's see. He's going to pay it back over 5 years, and it's hire purchase. And then they also say calculate the monthly installment that he will have to pay. So let's see. It's hire purchase. So what is your P amount? Remember, this guy already paid a deposit. So the remaining amount will be the 10,000 for the television minus the deposit that he already paid. So this amount, 8,500, will be the balance that the guy must still pay. So the P amount is going to be 8,500. He's going to pay back the loan over 5 years. So the N will be 5. And the interest rate is charged a simple interest rate of 7% on the amount of the loan. You see all these percentages and how easy it is to get confused. So the 15% was the deposit. The 2.5% was the insurance. That was the amount of insurance. Then the 7% is actually going to be on the loan. So one has to be wide awake, 7 over 100. Or you can write it as 0.07. Don't write it as 0.7 because you divide by 100. Right, let's work it out. And the final answers also has a little bit of a twist here. Okay, this one's then simple. 8,500 plus 0.07 times 5. Okay, let's work it out on my calculator. 8,500, open bracket, 1 plus 0.07 times 5. Close your bracket. 11,475. So this is what the guy has to pay off over 5 years. Remember, the cash price would have been 10,000, but now with insurance, he has to pay 11,475. But can you see this question counts 6 marks? Why? Because you don't stop here. They want the monthly installment. So monthly, this guy is going to pay off over a period of 5 years. And he has to pay per month because monthly installment. So 5 times 12, because there's 12 months in 1 year, will give you 60. So to get the monthly installment, we're going to divide this by 60. So on the calculator, divide by 60. That's going to give me 191 Rand 25. But he also has to pay the insurance. So I'm just going to say here, it's per month plus the 17 Rand 71 insurance. Okay, let's just add that. That will be plus 17 Rand 71. SD that. Okay, and I'm running out of space down there. So the total, let me just write it here. The total amount is going to be the 191.25 per month after we divided that by 60. Plus it's going to be the 17 Rand 71 for the monthly insurance. So this guy is going to pay in total 208 Rand 96 cents per month. That would be his installment for a period of 5 years. All right, I hope it makes sense. And don't be scared of financial maths. You must just understand the story.